Hey guys, we had a great morning in the war room today. It was tons of gaps. We had so many gaps that normally you almost don't know what to do with them. And Ranjan had asked yesterday about how do you go through and filter them. I think that's sort of a good way to start the discussion today and say focus on things you know. So focus on in our case, we will focus on tech. We focus on biotech. I'm definitely staying away from banks. I stay away from oils. Any of the things that are sort of subject to geopolitical shock are not going to be on my list for opening gap reversions. That being said, the things that did pop for us on the technology side, on the consumer discretionary side, on the biotech side, everything was fantastic, right? So we had lots of good setups. Went through and talked about how to screen those things. Super, super important that you really follow through and look at those gaps in terms of what's the profit potential. What am I really looking at here? Is it a great setup? Is it a good setup? Is it a so-so setup? Reward to risk ratio, all that stuff comes into play all the time when you're trading. So those were fantastic. We had a good trade in the triple Q NQ pair, so I'd set that up earlier for execution a little bit later in the session, sort of while I was out on a walk. That went off without a hitch, did well. And now it's time to go and shift gears and focus on the Magnificent Seven stuff. And remember, there was, Microsoft's announcement about the cloud and all this stuff sort of sent the markets for a little tumble this morning. Tech has not been the earnings gem that people would hope that it was going to be. But I think what that did was set the stage for some really good setups in the Mag 7 stocks, in trending moves on the QQQs. We're moving lower. The opportunities for shorts on pullbacks into significant support and resistance are really looking good for today. So let's take a look. Let's go to the charts, have a look at what's going on, and talk about our strategy for the rest of the session. Here it is. So here's the here's the triple Q this morning. You could see gapped lower. So we had we had pretty close to fair value in terms of the futures move this morning. So we saw a move lower that made sense in terms of what was going on in the pre-market and in terms of what the overnight futures were telling us was going to happen. If you look at the way that these have settled in over the course of the session, this is really where the magic was today. So when you see these ranges forming, where you see something like this and then something like this. We see the first range forming, which you're anticipating already is a tighter range in the second go around. But when that first range was forming, it was pretty easy to isolate that move right there when it came back up into that 488.31 line and couldn't get up through it in the previous bar, right? So you had this long bar that came up, couldn't get up through it, left you sitting right there. That is the cue to say, I think it's going to go lower. And in fact, we did get the move down into that 496.18 level. That was the support and resistance that was drawn after it got down into the lower level. So actually, the exit on this was right about there. So nice move on the future side of it. Anytime you can get $2 out of a QQQ trade, you are talking about $1,600 on a contract in the futures market. So that's great stuff. Right now, what I'm seeing is, we're trading sideways. We're in the box, and we are right in this sort of sweet spot of traveling between the central tendency, measure of central tendency, and two standard deviations out on either side. Those are tightening up. They're moving sideways. And that, of course, is what we like to see on our indices. So if those guys manage to, keep rotating back and forth there, then I think we're going to have some nice trades on the triple Q going into the rest of the session. Now let's look at our Magnificent Seven. You can see here that across the board, what we've got is a trending move. And in a day that we see the trends establishing the way that they are today, whether it's in Apple, Apple's a little tougher because these ranges are a little bit on the tight side sometimes, but today, they're really opening up. And if we get back up sort of close to this 227.79 threshold, right up in here, I'm not gonna grab it early on a repeat of that. I'm just gonna wait for it to get up 227.79 and then target that black pivot down below at about, actually I'm going to put my target about 227.10 on that one. Amazon, this is really trading nice and mechanically, mathematically, you've got a nice geometric trading pattern going on here. If it gets back up into 187.48, then I would say that 186.55 level is going to be the target. And, while I was getting ready to, to look at this, actually, we had the move down lower again. So on Amazon, we can go and say, this level right down here is, that's likely going to be another place that we oscillate. So if we get up into the overhead, if we get up into 186.55 and we see that there's resistance forming, then a short would be the play that I'm looking for there. Then on Google. So, Google's been doing just really nice moves today, but the ranges have been kind of on the tight side. This one up here is the one that I'm interested in. So if we get up into 176.75, I'm going to sort of keep an eye on the market, make sure that we are not at sort of 1:25 p.m. Eastern to 1:35 Eastern when it happens. But if we catch an inflection up there, I'm going to look for that 176.75, come down 176.12 for a portion, and maybe see if we can't get back down into that 175.57 level on an extension. Meta is doing sort of the same thing that our Amazon is doing. You're getting the extension. Meta, 570 bucks, so you're going to be adjusting share size most likely. I know I'll be adjusting share size. I'm not looking for that kind of exposure to a single stock in terms of potential stop. But if it gets back into the higher part of the range, so if we get a pullback on Meta from down low here that gets us back up into 579.32 certainly, or maybe 575. I'm going to look at the opportunity to short it. Tight stop on the 575 short, even tighter stop on the 9 spot 32 short. Those are all places that if it's going to go, then I'm going to expect that it's either going to head in my direction or it's going to wind up violating the upside there. On Microsoft. So Microsoft has had a little bit of elasticity above this line right here, which is interesting, considering the fact that the volume by price has really stacked right here pretty nicely. So if we get a reversal back down through 408.80, I'm going to look at the short side on that one from 406.80. You're going to have to put a stop up above, this fella right here. So that high on the push up above, that's going to be the threshold for me as far as where I'm going to get out. NVIDIA, 133.28 is, well, it's happening right now, I guess. So I'm not at my computer pulling the trigger on these right now. So if I was looking at this 133.28 limit order that I've got out there, I might have just pushed it down a little bit into 133.25 to try to pick up that high. If you're in it, if you're in the room and you are trading this and you picked up NVDA, look for 132.38. I'm going to say maybe 132.45 on a target there. And finally, we've got Tesla. And Tesla has been really, really geometric today as well. Looks like we're going to be bounded in this region right here. So if you look at the volume by price, you have sort of easy travel range between 252.16 and 251.37. So if we start tracking down into here, you're going to see this part of it is going to be relatively easy to move through, whereas this part of it is probably going to be where you see the stalls. So if it gets down in there and it starts bumping on that volume by price, might be a good time to just pull the plug on it and take a fractional profit as opposed to trying to get the whole thing. So that is this is a day that is set up pretty nicely, and I think anyways that the trading today has been relatively straightforward, relatively simple. It's gonna be the case that the afternoon is is probably going to be a little bit more volatile than the morning was, in terms of trying to catch a rebound, trying to catch a move back up into the range. But I think that sort of generally speaking, what we can expect here is that we're going to stay in the boxes on the Magnificent Seven. We're going to see probably a reversal at that 125, 135 time, and other than that, I think the game plan is the game plan. So my Dodgers won the World Series in a real good mood today. That was fantastic. Sorry for you Yankees fans, of course. Nobody likes their team to lose, but we do love our Dodgers, right? We bleed Dodger blue in Los Angeles, and very happy with the way that game went. So with that said, I will let you guys go trade, and I'll see you in the room, and I will be back right here tomorrow, same time, same bat channel. Have a great trading day.